Coach, give the viewers a little background about yourself, starting from let's say right before you went to Cody High School.
All right, so right before I went to Cody High School, I attended Mann Elementary School. I was on the west side of Detroit, as well as Lessinger Middle School. I think it's a different name now. I think it's Bow now. I think it's a different name.
Wow.
But Lessinger Middle School, and and during those days before I went to Cody was difficult. I think it's still difficult for a lot of kids who's trying to find exactly what it is they're doing. So I never played basketball, I always played football. So I played for the Broncos. So I played Little League football from the age of 9 to 14, basically, until I got to high school. And so, and then I also played in the band. So I played trumpet from 2nd grade through 8th grade. And so those are things that going into high school, I'm thinking that I'm just continuing to do, along with the pressures of entering to high school, because during those days, the west side of Detroit was heavily influenced with gangs. So we had Young Boys Incorporated.
YBI.
We had the BMG, Brightmoor Gangsters. We had the Sconies, Joy Road. I mean, it was so many, man. It was crazy, And so to stay away from that, just a lot going on before you even got to high school.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, so you were a late bloomer when it came to basketball. You were more Detroit Pal, football, and then you had the musical side. Now, did a coach walking down the hallway kind of pull on your coat like, hey, you kind of tall, like you need to come out for basketball? How did you go from football and marching band to basketball?
Well, here's the thing, Gerard. I wasn't tall. I didn't start growing until I got to like the 10th grade. So coming into high school, everybody was taller than me. Even my sister, everybody was taller than me. So my sister is probably the same height she was during that time. She's like 5'6", 5'7". And I was way shorter than her. I mean, she used to beat me up all the time, so I was way shorter. And plus, I was a little skinny guy, so But again, I had a lot of heart, so that's why I played football. I was very, very good at football. And so, coming into high school, my brother was a senior when I was a freshman, and he played basketball. So of course, when tryouts came, I had to try out because my brother was on the varsity. So it wasn't like, coming into high school, automatically knew I was going to be playing basketball because, I'm this, my brother's there, and so I still had to try out like everyone else, and then with the grace of God, I grew from my 10th grade year to my junior year, maybe a few inches. So I came back as a junior around 6'3", 6'4". And then from my junior year to my senior year, I was like 6'6".
Wow.
Yeah, so by the time I got to college, I grew another inch. I was 6'7", 6'8" when I got to my freshman year in college. So yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. All my clothes would fit me like I was an Urkel, man. I didn't know where to shop. It was crazy.
Now, with you having those growth spurts, now you played in an era in the PSL where guys were playing, D1 ball. Some guys were getting all the way to the league. Who were some of the best individual players that you saw in the PSL? Who were some of the best teams that you played against in the PSL in that time, like late 80s, 88, 87?
Man, so Doug Smith coming out of McKenzie, was one of the top. Of course, Steve from Persian, Steve Smith. And, Anderson Hunt,
Southwest.
Lauren, Lauren Clyburn. I mean, man, it was so many, man. I mean, cool, the whole Cooley team. A lot of these guys, man, a lot of these guys that played in our era, man, we were all tall, man, so if they play right now, these guys play right now, man, these guys would be all world, man. It's
It'll be
crazy,
proud.
man. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
It's funny because I had a young man as one of my guests, and he's a club manager. He runs a club now, but he was part of that whole Cadillac Middle School was like one of the feeder schools for Cody High School.
Okay.
So guys like him already knew they was headed for Coach Kelso and Cooley as far as 7th grade. They already knew. So
yeah.
he had a nice pipeline coming in. Yeah.
That's
Now,
the way to do it.
I read an article, and it really impressed me. I think it talked about when you were being recruited to go play at Tulsa. It said you were an ordained minister. Was that accurate? This is like an old paper. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, you must be digging through the archives for that one, man. My goodness. So doing part of my life, my grandfather was the pastor of the church that I attended, and so again, just trying to figure out what it is I'm trying to do with my life, and so I never was ordained, but I only went through my trial sermon, which was, something a pretty big deal for me during that time. And I had to figure out what it was that I wanted to be true to, you know what I mean? And so if I couldn't give my all to the ministry, you know what I mean, then I didn't want to go through it. And at that time, I was still searching basketball, still searching, my life goals. And I wanted to be sure that, that if I'm going to give my all to this ministry, then that's what I need to do. And at that time, I wasn't ready to give my all. So that's why I didn't go through the whole deal with it. Because I feel as though anything you do, you need to be passionate about it and give your all into it in order for it to be successful for you.
Yes, sir. Now, tell us about the recruiting process, because we have a lot of student athletes, not just in Detroit, but in Ghana, my native homeland of Ghana, in South Sudan, Nairobi, Kenya, and Kampala, Uganda, that watch this podcast. So share with us a little bit of your recruiting process. Was it Billy Tubbs, the legendary Billy Tubbs, that recruited you to Tulsa, or another coach?
So here's the deal. So when I left Cody, I wasn't heavily recruited or anything like that. So I had to take what was available to me. And at that time, it was a school named New Mexico Military Institute.
Oh.
Now, keep in mind, so again, like I said, going through high school, I'm still trying to figure out what it is I'm trying to do for my life. I'm still searching goals. And so while I was in high school, I put down the trumpet and picked up ROTC.
Okay.
So I was in ROTC and playing basketball at the same time. And so now I'm trying to figure out, okay, maybe I need to go to the military after high school, because that's where a lot of my family members were, in the military. And so I chose New Mexico Military Institute. And with choosing that, it was a blessing for me, because that's when I met Coach Smith. And so Coach Smith was the assistant coach at the University of Kentucky.
And so Coach Smith, Tubby Smith?
Tubby Smith.
Okay.
Yeah. So during that time, he was there to recruit another kid from our team. And so he explained to me, well, if I ever get a head coaching job, I'm going to come back and I'm going to bring you with me. And so sure enough, that 2 years later, because New Mexico Military was a junior college. So 2 years later, he comes back, he gets a head coaching job at Tulsa, and, there it is. He finds me, and,
okay.
We have a great friendship, even to this day. So it was, like I said, a blessing in disguise. Now I ended up leaving New Mexico Military because after a year there, I figured I didn't want to be in the military. I actually wanted to be in real college. So I left there and went to Dodge City, Kansas, which is Dodge City Community College, which is in Kansas, Dodge City, Kansas, and continued on my junior college career from there.
Now, with your eventual, so you eventually ended up at Tulsa then for Coach Tubby Smith.
Yeah.
Now, how was the college experience life? Was it a culture shock? Did you get homesick? How was college for you at that time?
Well, I mean, I got homesick, but for me, I had something to prove. I had something to prove because, I think a lot of folks coming from this area, if you're not one of the top, recruits, everyone counts you out. And so again, like I said, I took what I had to take by going to New Mexico, but I knew my work ethic and I knew my worth. So I worked extremely hard to get to that next level where I didn't want to come home. Even though I was homesick, I didn't want to come home. I didn't want to say, oh, see, I knew he wasn't going to make it. You know what I mean? I knew he would be back home, and which is important that, as a coach, I will always tell my players, I will always send my players away. I think I sent 95% of my players away when I sent them to school. And the reason being is because Detroit is always going to be here. It's never going anywhere. You know what I mean? But you get a chance to grow up and experience life and experience different cultures and experience different parts of the country. You know what I mean? And it makes more of a man out of you than you just stand here and doing nothing. And so with that, I was able to grow up quite a bit, and being homesick is part of growing up. Be a man. You know what I mean? You got to make tough choices and tough decisions. Be a man, grow up, and again, being homesick, the place that you're homesick about is not going anywhere.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm glad I'm glad you expressed that. Growing up, I grew up in Brightmoor. Mm-hmm. And a lot of kids I grew up with, Murphy Middle School, a lot of them never got past Finkel, and Cooley, not Cooley, Cody is more towards Joy Road. So, I'm sure you had people during my generation that never made it past that Joy Road area and expanded their horizons. So I'm glad that you stressed that to your players.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah.
Now, tell us what inspires you to get into coaching, going from a player to a coach?
So, I started off at Gompers, which is in Brightmoor.
Oh, wow.
and so while teaching in Gompers, our principal, she would challenge the staff and say, okay, well, we know you guys can teach, but what else can you do? What else can you bring to the school to make this school better than what it is? And so from that point, I said, well, I can start a basketball team. And so I started a basketball team and, and we did very well. I don't know if you know a guy named Eric Evans that played.
Oh, the guard. He ended up playing football in college, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, no, he ended up playing basketball, but he should have played football. But he ended up playing basketball at Duquesne. But Eric Evans was like one of the first guys, him and a guy named Dante, that I had that was pretty good. So Eric was a second grader, but Eric was extremely talented. Extremely talented.
Yeah, the Burley.
So I started the basketball team, and it became pretty good, and we became very, very good. I'm gonna show you see if I can turn this camera around right quick, and I'll just show you. So this is our article here. So this is Coach Smith. He came into town.
Smith.
And visited our school. So this is the guys that I had at Gompers when I was coaching there. And so when he came into town, he came to work with me actually. And of course they did a big write-up on it. You know what I mean? And so
came and show some love.
Yeah. And so from there, I heard the Cody job. So 5 years later, I heard the Cody job was coming open. I applied for it. I get the Cody job. And ironically, it became sort of a feeder for me because a lot of guys that played against my teams in elementary end up coming to play for me at Cody because of the relationship they know me from the elementary league. Mm-hmm. And so, I started off with a lot of East Side guys. I had guys from the East Side that would travel all the way to the West Side to play at Cody. And those guys built the program, man, and made it to what it was. And you know, like you said, with Cadillac and Cooley for Kelso, you know what I mean? It was all these other middle schools around for me, because these guys, and then after a while, I really didn't have to recruit a whole lot because my players went and got guys for me, you know. And I guess that's the one good thing I can say about my coaching staff and myself, is that the players liked us, you know what I mean? And we built a relationship. Sort of just like Coach Smith did for me, I try to do the same thing for these guys.
Pass it on, okay.
You know what I mean? And so, you know, you build relationships, you build friendships. For over the years, these guys still call me on Father's Day or on my birthday, and, you know, things like that, which is how it's supposed to be.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, you know, what are some of the other rewarding experience that you've had as a coach on the high school level?
Well, so at Cody, not to want to toot my own horn, but, you know, I am the only coach that have went to 2 city championships. You know what I mean? Although we lost, we lost both of them.
Hey.
You know, but you know, we you know, so I think that's something to be grateful for. You know, that you got a chance to take a team that no one, because when I took the Cody job, no one wanted that job. It's like, man, you crazy. You're not gonna be able to do anything there. You know, but
yeah, because Cody growing up always had good individual players, but as far as like teams. Not until you got there.
Yeah, I appreciate it. You know, and so again, you get guys that work hard, man, and guys that like each other, and you teach them not just about basketball, but teach them about life, and you get them out of the hood, and you get them to realize a bigger picture than just, like you mentioned, Dre Road in Chicago. You know what I mean? It's a bigger picture out here, you know?
Yes.
Luckily for you, I mean, I know you still got memories of Accra, you know, and Kumasi.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Okay.
You know, and you know, all those areas. I mean, I traveled to Ghana. I traveled to Ghana about 2 years ago. I went to Ghana. You know.
Okay. That's how you know. A lot of people like Accra and Kumasi. They don't know it's a large. Those are large cities, but yeah.
So I've been there, you know, and you know, I've met the people. I've met, you know, enjoyed the culture and enjoyed, you know, everything that it has to offer. And again, that's what I try to do with my players: get them a chance to travel, because when you travel, you learn.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You learn that, you know, everyone is not cursing with every word they say.
True.
You know, people of color are speaking with correct sentences. You know what I'm saying? So to give them a chance and an opportunity to go out and see that, man, it's something bigger than Detroit. And a lot of these guys haven't been back to Detroit. A lot of these guys still stay with it, you know.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So,
Now, as far as like, you know, if you were to ever, I ask all my guests this, and also teaches a lesson to the young people as well. Now, if you were to do a movie, you know, on your life story, what actor would play you and why? Put you on the spot.
Oh, man. What actor would play me? Oh, man. Well, man, I don't know. I would have to say, you know, I know everyone probably say Denzel or anything like that, but I would probably say, is there an actor tall enough to play me? First of all, is there?
You got to dig deep for that one, because there's been some former hoopers turned actors, but they weren't necessarily tall.
Yeah. So I was thinking maybe Tommy Ford, but he passed away, so I just don't tell it, you know.
Rest in peace. Yeah.
But I would say, man,
it can be based on their acting skills, you know, how good they are with their roles, not, you know, not even just the hype part.
Okay.
It's real.
All right, in that case, now I would say a Jamie Foxx. And
okay, he can switch it up.
Yeah, the reason I said Jamie Foxx is because he's so versatile,
Mm-hmm.
and he can, play just about anybody. And
Yeah.
I think that, you know, I tend to have a comedic side. I tend to have a serious side and an athletic side, and a spiritual side. So I think Jamie Foxx probably would hit it off quite well.
Now, Coach, I get a lot of DMs and a lot of highlight clips from young African ball players, and they got dreams of coming to the States and either finishing high school or they're right at the edge of finishing high school. They want to be able to play ball here. What advice would you have for some of our international players in Ghana, Uganda, South Sudan?
Man, I think it's a great idea. That's what I was really trying to do once I got back from Ghana, is bring some guys back, because I went to Cape Coast. So at Cape Coast, there's a basketball court, and I actually went and watched quite a few guys play. Man, just I run just walking down, what street were we on? I can't think what street we were on, but just walking down the street, and you know, to the right, here's this basketball court. And
Big
these guys
outdoor
out there,
court.
yeah, they out there running, man. And it had
Mhm.
to be at least 98 degrees, and I'm watching these guys, and I'm like, now at home, they'd be complaining that it's too hot. We got to wait for the sun to go down to play. Here, these guys out here, man, working their butts off, in the heat, and I got a video, I got a recording. I recorded everything while I was there,
Oh, wow.
but I would really recommend that, if these guys can find a host family, a good host
Host
family,
family. Okay.
you know what I mean, and find a school that's willing to take them, and they got to be somewhat talented. Now, you just can't be someone that's just have a dream of playing basketball, but you're really not
Right.
that good.
Right.
So but yeah, I think that's a great idea. If we can find a way to find host families and get these guys over here to play. And man, I think that'll be an awesome platform for them to display their skills.
And get a chance at a free college education, depending on
Yeah,
how far they could take it.
yeah, yeah.
Um, Now, being people of color, being Black males, we face additional barriers on top of barriers.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give our young men right now, in the times, the climate we live in with, the negative perception of Black males and the shooting of unarmed Black men? Like just what are some of your thoughts with all that's been going on?
Well, I wasn't necessarily towards Black men, but I would have to say that towards us as a people, we have to find a way to get the policies to change.
Okay.
And what I mean by that, I'll make a reference to basketball since we're talking about it. Back in the 80s, during the Pistons, the Knicks, the Celtics, the Bulls, during those eras, you go to the basket, you're going to pay a price for going to the basket. You know what I mean? And, but the policies were, that's how we play. Over the years, the policies have changed, which has cleaned up the game. Whereas if you get a hard foul, you're going to get fined. You know what I'm saying? You'll get fined, you'll get ejected, and you may not be able to play in the next game. So we changed the policies of this police brutality. Whereas when you pull over someone, your job is either get them a ticket, give them a warning, or just say, hey, I stopped you for blah, 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 or take them to jail, whatever it is. But to say, hey, you fit a description, that's not acceptable. You know what I mean? So those policies have to change to where the police have to be able to say what they're going to say and do what they're going to do based on the policies. Because right now we still got the same policy that's put in place when the police first started.
Yeah.
Back in the 1800s. You know what I'm saying? So anything goes. So until we change the policies and how things are done, then it's continuing to be the same way. you know, and again, we as Black men, men of color, men of African descent, we have to be able to understand what is going on and know that getting home is our number one priority. And so sometimes we have to humble ourselves, which which is hard for us at times. You know, sometimes we have to, play the game, whatever game this officer is playing, and be able to adjust our mindset to where we're not in a situation where here it is, we're getting shot or we're getting killed. And so my last point is, in this day and age, I always say a lot of time we're in a iPad generation with a Pony Express mindset. So here it is, the police can say, well, you fit a description. But right now, the police should be able to have on their phone a description of the person that they're looking for.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? Or in their car, whatever it is, not just walk away, you fit a description. No, that's unacceptable. Those policies have to be changed to where a police officer know that this is the person they're looking for, looks nothing like me.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So fit the description that has been going on for the last 80, 100 years. Man, that has to be gone with the wind. But until those things change and the policy changes, then, it's going to continue to be the same thing over and over and over.
Yes, sir, unfortunately. As we wrap up, this interview, I'm just collecting all the jewels of knowledge that that you're giving. My regular 9 to 5, I'm a regional youth coordinator with Detroit Wayne Integrated Health Network, and I lead a group of youth advocates. We're putting together Stay in School / Career Day virtual event October 28th at 4 p.m. And we realized that, a lot of our youth, that are on the fence about, should I stay in school? Should I drop out? Just simply telling them stay in school is not enough. So, we got some professionals coming in to actually share their stories. Because a lot of times, when kids see people on TV, they don't really know that the struggles that, people went through to get to where they are. So we're putting together an event where some of these professionals can share their stories. And, what advice would you have for the young people that are on the fence about finishing school or dropping out?
Well, I had a couple of players that was like that. They called me and said they, leaving and didn't want to stay. But my thing is, what is your plan B? Okay, so when you get here, what are you planning on doing? Getting a job? You got at 18, 19, 20, you have your whole life to work. This time of your life is a time where you need to be getting prepared for your future. And I think a lot of times our young men, even our young women, don't have the vision to see themselves 20 years from now, 30 years from now. All they see is the right now, and so we have to give them the tools and the insight of what 10 years from now look like, what 20 years from now look like, because they don't know. So, even if a child said, well, I've been studying and I just don't understand what they're talking about. We have to be able to give them tools and strategies on how to understand what's going on. And it's no different than a kid that said they want to leave school. We have to give them tools and strategies to help them understand that, this is why you're here.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so, because they don't get it. All the things that we know is that we've just been conditioned to go to school, go to college. A lot of us don't know why. You know what I mean? So same way.
That's true.
The same way with grocery shopping. As you get older, no one ever taught you how to go grocery shopping. You know what I mean? All you know is you got to buy some meats, some fruits, maybe some vegetables, and some things, some cereal, milk, whatever. But no one really said, well, you don't buy this because this is not good for you, so you buy this. You don't buy that one because this one doesn't have this in it, so you buy this. This type of milk you don't need because it has mucus in it and it's going to make you blah, 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 blah. It's going to keep you sick. You need to buy this type of milk, which is, plant-based, so we have never been taught certain things. So same thing with college. No one has really sat down and said, well, you go to college because A, B, C, D. And to be honest, college isn't for everyone. And I get that. You know what I mean? But you got to have a plan B. When you come home, what is your plan B? It can't just be, I'm just going to walk up and down Joy Road. You know what I mean? It can't be, I'm going to sell this stuff. I'm going to sell drugs. That's only going to last 10 years, maybe 5.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky. You know what I mean? So you have to have a plan because, you waste all these years. And that's why I tell a lot of kids. I say, you waste all these years from kindergarten all the way through high school, going to school. What's another 4 years of your life? And that way, some of it clicks for some of them don't. But, our job is to try to give them tools and strategies to understand why they're there.
Thank you, Coach. And, with the student athletes that do watch the show, I share stories sometimes, or I have guests that are like former PSL alums that were, blue chip hoopers, but, once the NBA, they didn't get to that level, some of them kind of fell on hard times, so sometimes, the youth may learn from, someone that didn't get there, or they might just take heed to the lessons that we're sharing now. So I want to thank you, Coach, for taking time out of your schedule to come on the Heavy Brand Podcast. I'm going to upload the episode on the Facebook page, Heavy Brand Podcast. Thank you so much, Coach Tipton.
Gerard, thank you, man. I really appreciate it. And anytime you need me, man, I'm right there for you. Never a problem.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right.
All right, take care, Coach.
Okay. Have a good day.
So.